Good morning. This is Jim Barlow with OakTree Premium Finance. I spent a bunch of time yesterday reviewing this webinar and changing a few things, and it got a little bit exciting. I think it's going to be useful for all of you attending. Let's get started. Understanding Kai Zen for advisors. In other words, there might be a little bit more technical stuff. But anyone could probably pick it up anyway. Anyway, let's start. I want to give you some teasers and just kind of tease you of what Kai Zen can do. Let's start with a 46-year-old male. He's going to make 5 annual payments of $70,000, and he's going to be in a conservative allocation. The reason why I chose 46 and 70,000 is this is actually the average age of people who buy Kai Zen. Half are below 46 and half are above 46. This is the average. And 70,000 is actually average purchase of Kai Zen. Very few people do the minimum, although some do and they can't do more. But anyway, I like to show you results. And these are some calculations I did yesterday. So the payout from Kai Zen beginning at age 65 for this 46-year-old would be $131,000 a year, tax-free. And from 65 to 100, he would have pulled out $4,716,000 and still have a death benefit of $1,800,000. Now, some of you might be saying, let's see, 70,000 a year for 5 years turns into 4,716,000, and you're saying, oh no, this is too good to be true. That's a common phrase with Kai Zen, and that's a reason why I like to educate people about it, and especially for advisors today, to show you how this happens and how it works. It is great. Is not too good to be true because it is true. Let's give you some more teasers. Oh, sorry, I forgot this phrase at the bottom. I wanted to show you this. Allianz did some research. How predictable are the Kai Zen illustration income projections? Well, they found out that 7% there's a probability of getting less. There's a 93% chance of probability of same or more, and there's an 80% probability of doubling. Instead of 131,000, this person would get a 262. Talk about being too good to be true. So they're low if there's anything, these projections. Let's go to the next one. I'm going younger, 40 years old, a female, 5 annual payments of 100,000, conservative. Results. Beginning payout at age 60, 215,000 a year, tax-free. From 60 to 100, 8,815,000, and 4,500,000 death benefit left. Wow, that is pretty cool. Not too good to be true. It is true. So let's try another one. Let's go older, a male. 5 annual payments, 100,000, conservative. We need some time for this to grow, for this to work, and you're going to see that as we talk about this today. So the payout can't really start at 2. I started at 71. At 141,000 a year, tax-free. From 71 to 104 million. That's not even looking bad for a 55-year-old starting at 71. 1,400,000 left as death benefit. Now I'm going to go the other direction. One of the top 3 reasons people buy Kai Zen is for their family. to pass wealth to the next generation and try to do it in a proper manner that will be helpful. So this is Dad buying a Kai Zen for his 25-year-old daughter, 5 annual payments of $100,000. He's not giving $100,000 for her to spend for each of those 5 years. He's putting it into Kai Zen for her to get a result later on when he's long gone. Now, get ready. Payout begins at age 60, $733,000 a year, tax-free. Age 60 to 100, $30 million tax-free. And there's still $10 million death benefit. Wow. Instead of giving $500,000 over 5 years in cash, you're giving at age 60, $733 a year, tax-free, and $30,000 total. Yes, it looks like it's too good to be true. Let's try another one. Another one of the major uses of Kai Zen is as an employee benefit. So here we have a 35-year-old male, and the employer goes to him and says, if you'll put $1,000 a month in for 5 years, 60 months, I'll match you. I'll put $1,000 into. It would conservative allocation. And this one, beginning at age 65, $100,000 a year, tax-free. And he'd be receiving $3,600,000 from 65 to 100, still have $1.1 million as death benefit. The three reasons, well, let me go to my next slide. I'll answer my own question. Oh, sorry. Well, let me go ahead for a second. Here's the uses of Kai Zen. Retirement income, just someone on their own wanting to improve their retirement income. 2 is employee benefit. We just saw an example. Transferring wealth, gifting. Those are the 3 number 1 reasons. But it can also be as a buy-sell agreement. Great way to fund that. Or as just family financial security. One study was done a while ago by the founders of Kai Zen showing that this might be the cheapest way to buy life insurance, period. Some people buy for the disability long-term care, tax management, reducing taxes, infinite banking, estate taxes, a lot of reasons. Well, I skipped ahead, but let me go back. This is a reminder to me to now shift and go to my website. So, all right, here's my website. I am quite proud of my website. I think it's really robust. I think it has a lot of stuff you could explore and study. If you scroll down, I've got a lot of quick links on different things. And I'm going to go to one of those a little bit later. But right now, I want to go to my media and go to videos. And here we have videos, and these, I call these my top 9. These are my top 9 videos, all about Kai Zen in some form. If you go below this area, click here for additional resources. I've got Grundle's more videos from NIW, from Allianz, from National, about Kai Zen and different things that will help you understand it. But going back to the top 9, I want to show you the one called The Next Big Thing. So here we go, full screen, and let's show it.
Have you ever wondered why you always seem to miss out on potentially life-changing financial opportunities? Rationalizing your decision with thoughts like, I'm not getting it because I've never heard of it, or it'll never make a profit, or costs are too high. Maybe you didn't understand just how significant the benefits could be using new methods. Or maybe it sounds too good to be true. Perhaps with all the transformation happening in the auto industry, the telecommunications industry, and the financial industry, you didn't feel like you had enough money for it all. Yet you felt if you hadn't missed the opportunity to participate, it could have completely transformed your life. In reality, missing a few stock purchases here and there would not have drastically impacted your financial future. The only true financial transformation has come from the use of leverage. Leverage has been the single most crucial factor in transforming our financial situation, and all of us have access to it. Leverage has transformed how we live, how we get around, and our careers. It's helped provide the opportunity to succeed. Leverage can significantly enhance our lives. Introducing Kai Zen. Kai Zen provides you an opportunity to combine leverage with a uniquely designed life insurance policy. Once a small portion of your contributions are used to provide the death benefit and access to living benefits, the remainder of your money, plus the leverage dollars, have the potential to earn interest. Any potential gains are locked in annually and compounding tax deferred. Because your cash is not directly invested in the market, it cannot lose money due to declines, making it one of the safest products when using leverage. In fact, you'll never be required to go through a credit approval, sign loan documents, make interest payments, or provide personal guarantees. Leverage has the ability to add up to an additional 3 times more money, providing you with an average of 60 to 100% more in policy benefits, rather than using your money alone. Click the link below, enter your personal details, create your secure username and password, and see the potential enhancement Kai Zen can provide you. With Kai Zen, you don't have to miss another potentially life-changing opportunity. Let Kai Zen help you enhance the protection you provide your loved ones and help transform the way you live your retirement.
Well, how was that? These others are all good. This one talks about taxes primarily. This is recruit and retain for employees. This is for executives. This is for wealth transfer to your children. Here's one for doctors. This is about how it works. Oh, here's one about leverage, but they're all good. And with that, we're going to go back to my other screen. Okay, looks like we're there. I already showed you the uses of Kai Zen, and you've seen the video now. So here is my 6 key features and advantages of Kai Zen. Number 1, potentially tax-free withdrawals. Access to cash value losing tax-free policy loans. Eliminates tax risk. Let me explain. If you have a cash value life insurance policy that you're putting more than just the insurance costs into it, that money is growing tax deferred. You're not having to pay taxes as it grows. And if this policy is on you, when you die, it goes to your heirs tax-free. It's one of the big pluses for life insurance. The heirs receive the benefits tax-free. Well, notice that last little bit, using tax-free policy loans. You, as the owner, and before you die, can borrow from the policy tax-free. And we'll show you a little bit more how that works. But this isn't a loan you're ever going to pay back. You don't need to. I don't want you to. So tax-free policy loans. Let me show you a quote. This is a CPA in Minnesota. I am a CPA and a tax planning advisor. And as a tax advisor, I can tell you that the single biggest benefit in the tax code is the income tax exemption of life insurance. You should know about how to use it to reach your goals. The single best, most cost-effective, yet amazingly underutilized strategy for protecting retirement account balances, especially large ones, from being decimated by the highest levels of combined taxation is to buy life insurance to offset the tax burden that beneficiaries may face. In other words, leverage your retirement savings rather than letting the funds sit there waiting to be decimated by future taxes. Yes, people should know about this benefit. That's number one. Number two, protection from market declines. Zero downside risk, no negative returns. Eliminates downside market risk. I'm going to cover number three, then I'm going to show you how this happens. Growth potential, maximizing returns with upside crediting. You're buying in index strategies, and one strategy is called a capped index. An example would be an S&P 500 index where the return is capped. 12.5% is the current cap on Allianz. And in this situation currently, the average is 8.2 for the last 10 years. Or another approach is the participation indexes. An example here, another Allianz is Bloomberg US Dynamic Balance 2 ER Index. The 10-year average is 5.4. Well, that's not majorly exciting, but you have a participation rate of 218.5%. And that turns that into 11.88 for the last 10 years. That is getting exciting. So you have good growth options. We'll show you more detail and no downside. How do they do it? So when you have excess cash in a cash value life insurance, the majority of the money, I'm using $1,000 example, $950 would go into the general fund of the life insurance. This is one major big pool of bonds. Government bonds, some primary government bonds, but also some corporate bonds. And in the example here, I'm saying that $950 in 1 year, growing at 5%, will grow back to the original $1,000. Actually, the rate most general funds are making today, right today, is about 5.5. So this is a fair example, but that leaves you $50, which is available for the option budget. This is the money, the budget they have to buy options on indexes on the S&P 500. And as interest rates go up, if they do the S&P 500, that cap will go up. And as interest rates are higher, you get a higher participation rate on those funds, that 218%. Before interest rates went up, these accounts were paying about 130%, which isn't bad, but it was a lower interest rate environment. If rates go up more, you'll get more than 218.5%. Higher interest rates does not harm Kai Zen. Higher interest rates is higher interest rates, but because you're going to make more. And you can see there's no downside. So That's number 2 and number 3. No downside and good growth. 4 is a feature of index universal life and life insurance. You have the death benefit, but you also have living benefits. That's the term they use. What it is, you get a terminal, chronic, critical illness, critical injury. You have life insurance with supplements for disability insurance in case you get cancer, or an accident, a car accident, or long-term care. This eliminates, well, you know what death benefit, eliminates financial vulnerability risk. And to have disability and long-term care benefits, these are real risks, and all those things can happen. Little comment here. Living benefit riders on a life insurance policy provide policyholders with the ability to access a portion of their death benefit while still living under certain conditions. I did a webinar on these living benefits a few months ago. It's listed in all my list of webinars on my website called Life Insurance with Living Benefits. It's the whole webinar on these things, and it's terrific. So that'd be a good webinar to go back and review. So we've covered 4 of them, and now we come to leverage. The borrowing up to 3-to-1. This is the major key feature of Kai Zen, without collateral. No personal guarantees, loan documentations, interest payments, or credit checks. You're getting more money put in the account without collateral. Substantially reduces your capital risk. Let me show you a concept here. The biggest impact you can make to protect your retirement, 26% is based on the return you get, and 74% is based on having more money in the account. This is almost common sense. You can't retire with no money. You have to put some aside. You have to get some set aside. But yet, you are investment advisors, and you're striving to get a higher return for people. But we also need to be stressing, you got to get more money into this plan. I was retired from the investment advisory business. I loved it, still love it, still love what I'm doing in the more aggressive world of investing. But I love something conservative like Kai Zen. So what does this borrowing do? It gives you more money growing in your favor. And that sounds, how's that? But we'll be showing you how that kind of works. But last of the 6 major benefits, 5 annual payments, reduces payment fatigue. How many people hate making payments for a long, long time? And will I ever get a benefit of it? Just 5. So here's the 5 payments, and also a little bit about the leverage. The 5 silver pigs or piggies is your 5 annual payments. And the bank is going to approximately match your 5 payments in that first 5 years. And then the bank is going to continue to make the payment they were making for the first 5 years, but they're also going to make the payments you were making. And so that you can actually visualize, it's a about 3 to 1. And we're going to show you some illustrations and give you a better feel for that. But that's how the payments go and the leverage and how what we're getting. And I've mentioned this, the video mentioned it, and I mentioned it. No interest payments, no loan documents, no credit checks, no personal guarantees, not even the signature. You're not on the loan. You're not on a loan document. So we've talked about these 6 advantages, and you're thinking, all right, there has to be some disadvantages. Well, there are, and I'm actually going to probably stress these more than the pluses. But first, health underwriting. Applicants must qualify, have standard or better health underwriting. If you're not insurable for life insurance, you can't have Kai Zen. And you know people who are in that situation. It's even worse than that. You need to really be standard or better, standard or preferred. For this strategy, they don't take lower table rated individuals. So you need to be able to qualify for insurance. I'm sorry if that's not the case, that you're not. 2, applicants must be between 18 to 65 years of old to qualify. I'm over 65. I cannot buy Kai Zen. I heard about Kai Zen when I was about 70. It was a long ways beyond them being able to buy it. So there's the age factors. Financial criteria of the insurance companies, varying levels of net worth required from 0 to $1 million based on household income. I have a chart that will show this a little bit better, but ranging from 100,000 to 400,000. Net worth and income requirements, and they adhere to that. 4, financial capacity. This is more on your side of the fence. Must have the ability to make annual minimum payments ranging from about 20,000, that's an 18-year-old, to about 40,000, depending on age. That's about that 64-year-old, the last. So that's kind of the minimums. Allianz introduced last November a monthly payment option. Before that, we had only annual payments. The monthly makes it convenient. So you don't have to save up your payments to get started in a year. You can get started on a monthly basis now. Last 5, long-term commitment should be able to commit to at least 15 years before accessing benefits. That word should, I debated what I should put there. You have to, you must, you no other choice. It's trying to make it tough. If you can't, and you don't feel you could commit to a 15-year program, then my answer is don't do this. Why? Because it's not going to be successful. You would have been better off put it into the bank. So that 15 years is important. So here's a graphic on my suggested ages. Kai Zen didn't compose this. This is me. So I think 18 to 50 is a sweet spot. And so under 50 and you qualify for the insurance, great. From 51 to 64, I'm given that yellow. So we'll have to evaluate and see if it can work. Might not. At 65, it does not work. So there's my suggested ages. Now, this is a reminder to talk to you about our portal. The founders of Kai Zen calls it ILIA, that term at the top, Interactive Learning Information Assistant. I call it my Kai Zen portal. So this portal on the left has all kinds of information, and it's really cool. And the one I'm going to show you into is estimate my benefits. But this portal is not, you can't access this until you have a login and a password. But I can send you an invitation to that. But let's go to the portal. Now, again, I'm now going to go to my website again. Okay, can you see? Okay, you can see my website. Here it is. So now we're going to scroll down to the quick links, and we're going to go to this Kai Zen secured portal. That's my term. They call it ILIA. So you can see I'm logging in just like anybody else. And there's actually two sections to this. There's an agent part, that's me, or there's the demonstration part. I'm going to go to the demo. And the two major carriers we have available, they're compatible with this portal, is National Life and Allianz. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit later about who's best and which. So I'm going to go Allianz here. I'm going to go Kai Zen. And I'm going to start the demo. And here we got another video, and we've got this on the left. We've got all these different areas. And there's graphics. If you go to product, you're going to see graphics of how it's working, or you can go to leverage, minimizing risk. You've got a lot of explanations. But I want to go to estimate my benefits. And that's the slide you saw that I introduced it. On the left side, you see the quick results estimator. And on the right side, you see the custom design estimator. And the quick is quick. And you only have to put in 3 factors: an age, sex, and contribution. And you get a visualization. So let's do that. Let's do that. Remember that average person, 46, and there's male, and I'm gonna, what did I do, 70 on that because that's the average. So I'm gonna try to bump this up to 70. This slide rule is a little different. There we go, 70. So I'm gonna go calculate. And if I scroll down, we have it all figured out here. There they show I had silver pigs, they have gold. So there's the gold pigs, and there's the green pigs, the lender's money. And let me show you what this tells me. So we chose 70,000 per year. So that's 350,000 from the investor. And then the lender is going to contribute $1,007,007, $66,394 for the first 5 years, and $135,044 in the next 5 years. So we're putting in over 10 years, $1,357,000 into this policy. Now, to talk a little bit about this, right here in kind of grade small print, we're going to use the return number of 6.74. That's a fair number. It's not too high, not majorly too low. I'm content with doing illustrations with that number. And I want higher returns than that, but I'm content for this illustration. And so now we're going to click this next button, next benefit results. And now we've got new information. The initial death benefit, this is a life insurance policy, is $1,947,263. Because of the borrowing we're involved, that 6.74 is going to turn out in the illustration at 9.37 because of the borrowing. It's going to be higher than you imagine. And the tax-free income, this is showing starting at age 65 to 90. This quick estimator does 65 to 90. Can't change that. Is 122,000. We didn't do 65 to 90 in my teaser. And cumulative, they'll receive 3,172,000 and still have 1,685,000 left. Now I want to click to the next button called comparisons. And they have a graphic. The graphic here, this is the Kai Zen. The blue is the total distribution from 65 to 90. The gold is the life insurance death benefit. The next column here is if you bought the exact same policy but didn't borrow money. And the next one is if you got the same 6.74% return in a regular investment and paid taxes as you go. And the last one is tax deferred. This is your IRA and 401ks, how they do it. And that's nice to show you the graphic, but here's the numbers. So in our example, 122,000 income starting at 65, compared if you did it without the borrowing, 79. So we gave this investor more money by borrowing, more money to grow for his future. And then if we did it in a, say, 6.74 for aftermarket and after tax investments, 54,000, or an IRA, 68. And we're taking substantially less risk than over here. We could do a discussion. My newsletter was about what people average on their investments, but we won't get into that. So here's the numbers: 9.37, 7.24, 5.29, 6.24. So that's the quick estimator. And as you have an invitation to this, you can plug in ages and play with this and do illustrations like I did at the beginning of the webinar to your heart's content. If you go to the custom design, you've got a lot more information to put in. And I'm going to try, but my computer system seems to be working slowly, but well, let's give it a whirl. You put in a first name. I'm going to put the name of A. And for a last name, I'm going to put in the name of A. And then I'm going to put in a birth date. Let's see, 01/01/1969. That's a 55-year-old. Oh, let's don't do that 55. Let's do 79. So that's a 45. Let's do let's just do 2000. 24-year-old. This is for your granddaughter. So we've got a young person. We select the gender. We'll do female, and we select health, average or excellent. 24-year-old, probably excellent. Then the next question we answer is, does this client use tobacco or marijuana products? That's a big deal when you're applying for life insurance. And so I'm going to say no. The cost would be higher if they did. And we're going to put next. Then the decision we're making here, do we want this as a maximizing potential distributions, or do we just want it as a death benefit? That's how most people buy life insurance, just to have it there when it's, but I'm going to show the income, the retirement system is cool, so I'm going to do that one. Then we're going to put in, instead of a sliding bar, we actually put the dollar amount the client wants to invest, or you. And it also, based on the age, it shows the minimum, and it's 19,450. So in my example, I did 100,000. Let's do 50,000 this time. 50,000. Now, then it has here, remember we have that example of a match from the employer. Well, if you've got a match going, we put that here. I'm going to skip this. We're just going to do it for this 24-year-old. You're gifting 50,000 a year to your granddaughter or daughter. We're going to go next again. And now on this custom design, we get to choose at what age they start receiving income. On my example for the 25-year-old, I think I did 70. You could go 62 when their Social Security kicks in. And you can, I like to do that 100, but some people said, no, I know it won't be around at 100, so they do 90 or whatever. But anyway, I'm going to go 62 to 100 this time. Then I'm going to go next. And then I select a mix. And conservative, moderate, aggressive, SP 500 futures. I'm going to go with conservative. And a little later in the webinar, I'll explain a little bit intricacies of this. But that conservative is putting 25% in a PIMCO, 25% in blended futures, 25% SP 500 futures, 25, they call it the Budsby index. And this also has a 1% bonus. If this blend does 9%, then you'd get a 1% bonus and get 10. And then on top of that, there's potential other things to get a higher return, but we'll stay with this for now. So conservative, I have confirmed the allocation selected, and we're going to view results. Now, this is the part that's sometimes slow. And so what I'm going to do, well, let me talk to you a little bit about stress testing. And then we're going to go back to the slides. And on my other screen, I can tell you when this gets done. Stress testing. I probably should have put some slides on stress testing in this webinar, but they stress test this strategy for the 1930s to see how this would have done in an era of negative years, a bunch in the market. The worst there was, the 30s. And it turns out okay. They've stress tested for the 1980s for high interest rates, and it came out okay. So it's more of a sure thing. I can't say it's a sure thing than any other strategy. Now, so it's still going. I thought maybe while I talked about stress testing, it'd pop up and have it be all done. But let's go ahead. I'm going to switch now back to my screen. Oh, I think it just finished. Well, maybe it didn't. Okay, we'll go back to the main screen. Okay. So this is a little bit of what we're looking at. For the quick results, all I needed was age, gender, annual contribution. For the custom design, we needed a name, although I put in AA, birthday and health and tobacco and maximum potential distribution, ages, employer match. These are all the things you put in for that one. And to receive an invitation to this secure portal, I need name, cell phone number, email address, and date of birth. I put those in bold because those I've got to have or I can't send you an invitation. And you'll receive an invitation. It will come from My Ilya. And there's one other thing that I put in, and you don't need to, I'll put something in even if you don't put something in, but this is where I want to start talking about Allianz and National and what are they good at. Allianz has the yearly or monthly payments. If that monthly payment is a big deal, then you want Allianz. Allianz is striving for higher returns, and they made some adjustments just this last month that they're trying to get a better, higher return on the account. They have more investment options. They have something called index lock. I want to do a whole webinar about Allianz because I'll give detailed index lock, but it means you can pop out of the index you're in and go to cash because you think the market's at a high and you want to protect your growth for the year. It has bonuses. It can be more tactical. They are more tactical. And then there's National Life. This is the #1 selling index universal life in the country. Most years, if they slip to #2 and then they back to #1 another year, but this is the one people use a lot. And it has one of the best living benefit package there is, better than Allianz. And then they have no net worth requirements, more turnkey, more, don't worry about it, just leave it alone. So if you're deciding at this point, whether do I want to do Allianz or National, I'd say if you want good living benefits, choose National. If you want to be more tactical and try to get a little higher return, and maybe the monthly is a big deal, then choose Allianz. I'm looking at my other screen and it hasn't come out with the benefits yet. Kind of slow today. So let's keep going on. So this is just a reminder that we should be going on. We've already mentioned this in about the early slides, but how predictable are the Kai Zen illustrations? Allianz did this research and they said there's a probability of less, 7% of the time, probability of 93% probability of same or more, and there's an 80% probability of doubling. So we're being conservative on our illustration numbers, even though they're hard to believe. And interestingly enough, the illustrations are showing a spread between what you're earning and what you're paying in interest of 0.5. I'm pretty sure I put this on a little later. Let's see what I do in my next slide. Oh, I didn't. All right, let me go back. So they've done a study and looking back to 1930, any 15-year period of time, they have not averaged this in this strategy, back testing, less than 2% spread. Yet we're illustrating a 0.5. So that's part of the reason why there's an 80% chance of doubling, because we're illustrating such a small spread. And the last 10 so years, we haven't been getting a 2% spread. We're 4.5. Well, we'll talk about that again too. All right, let's keep going. My estimator isn't up yet. So here's another concept. This is getting into things that probably don't bring up with a lot of potential investors, but I want to let advisors know this. There's the National Association of Insurance Commissioners. Insurance, life insurance, is not regulated by the federal government. It's regulated by the individual states where you live. And there's an insurance commissioner in your state. And they form the commissioners, a self-regulatory entity, National Association of Insurance Commissioners. Every state belongs. And they write guidelines for illustrations. And AG 49 is the most recent guideline that they've done. And they say multipliers no longer allowed to be illustrated. So I can't show you a true illustration with a 15% bonus or a 40 or whatever. You can show interest bonuses, and there's the 5% arbitrage that's showing. So we're, as much as we like illustrations, even though we're a self-regulatory entity, we still have limitations. I guess we would like them perfectly fair, but they're not even always fair. Okay. So there's the 6 advantages again. And there's the 5 disadvantages again. And if this was a public webinar, not for advisors, then I end with this slide. The launch phase. Rockets, 95 to 98% of their energy usage is in the takeoff. And only 2 to 5% is in the orbit phase. If you only have 80% of the energy in your tank, you wasted your money in getting the rocket into space. And so, number 5, long-term commitment. If you can't commit to this 15 years, don't do it. You need to have that 100%. You've got to have this energy available for this to work. And if you do, it's going to work wonders. So again, here's the secure portal invitation information. Anyone who's interested, just text me, email me your information. And if you do, this does not mean I'm going to be hounding you forever. In fact, I'm not. I really believe that this portal is your Amazon portal. You can go to your Amazon secure portal, Kai Zen secure portal, read about the products, just like you do today. Oh, I think I want one of these, and you read the information and eventually push the button. We're giving you a lot of information on the portal. If you have questions and it's not answering it, I'm happy to help. Just call me. But I'm not going to be hounding you. If you don't have the 15 years, I don't want you to do it anyway. So my estimator is still slow. I don't know what my computer issues today are, but anyway, here's my chart that I've more detailed chart about Allianz and National. Allianz, the world's largest insurance company, very innovative. National Life, #1 in index universal life sales most years. They define age differently. Allianz says is age is your actual age, and National says age is your nearest age. So you turn to give an age 6 months before you turn that age. So that's, you need to be aware of little things like that. Payment options, yearly or monthly. I put the green as who won the race on this. So Allianz, that monthly takes the cake. In index options, more options plus index lock feature, only company with a lock feature. And their dynamic hedging, they're the only one that does. They're a large enough company that they do their own hedging for those indexes. National, big company, but less so. They do a static hedging. They can't do that index lock. And Allianz has these bonus programs, 1%, 15, 40. I'm going to show you some numbers on that. Then we go to living benefits. Allianz has terminal illness and chronic illness, where National has critical illness, injury, Alzheimer's disease, considered one of the best. And then in net worth requirements, Allianz is more restrictive. 100,000 household income, if that's your income, you need $1 million net worth to qualify. If you have a 200,000 household income, you need 500 less. And if you're over 400, you don't need a net worth. National 100,000 household income, no net worth requirement. So there's a comparison of the two. Now let's talk about performance a little bit. In National, BCI stands for Volatility Controlled Index. And so we have two in National Volatility Controlled Index called Pacesetter and Balanced Trend. And they also have the SP 500. If you invest in the SP 500 with National, the current cap is 9.25. They do give a higher participation than 100. They give 105. So the last 10 years in National, you'd be 6.39. And Pacesetter and Balance, the participation rates are pretty high, 235 and 215. So taking that participation rate into effect, you get 12.6 and 9.61 for the last 10 years. And if you blend the two indexes, the last 10 years would be 11.1. Now, let's compare that with Allianz. Allianz has PIMCO tactical balance and Bloomberg tactical dynamic balance, another volatility controlled index, two of them. And then they have the SP 500 too, where it looks like they're very similar. But interestingly enough, Allianz has a current cap on the SP 500, 12.5, with 100% participation. So your 10-year average is 8.2 in the SP 500. And then they have lower participation rates on the two volatility controlled index. So their 10-year average is 8.74 and 9.07. And if you kind of glance over at the National, you can see those are lower, but every company is different. So now they have bonuses. They have a 1% bonus. So you, instead of 8, when I did a two fund blend, those two, 8.9, with a bonus, you get 9.9. And then they have a 15% multiplier. So you instead of a 1% bonus, you take 8.9 times 1.15 to get 10.2. And then have a 40% multiplier with a 1% charge. So you take the 8.9, subtract 1%, so 7.9 times 1.4 to get 11.1. And you can do the multiplier in the SP 500 too, so you can see what the different mixes, how they compare. You can almost kind of see that Allianz is, when we have the lock, we haven't talked about, but you can kind of get a feel. If this is the total end result, I'd be content with National with the living benefits better. But let me go to the next slide. I've covered up my face to give this chart all the way across the page. Just last month, they added 2 more funds in Allianz, a blended futures and an SP 500 futures with participation rates. One's 80%, and they've back tested the returns to show 10-year averages at 8.87 and 10.82. And then I did a 4-fund blend, the PIMCO, Bloomberg blended futures, and SP 500 futures, to give these numbers. And notice, so the 40% multiplier with the 2 was 11.1, and now we're at 11.7. This is Allianz working hard to try to get higher returns. I think that's helpful. Hopefully you found it helpful. I'm really sorry to tell you that my estimator, my computer system, is still pokey today. Usually it takes about a minute. I'm going to have to see what the problem is. But anyway, let's go to the next slide. Costs. You know, in the investment management world, if you just take a mutual fund, you have the internal fees with the fund, and then as an investment advisor, you have your fee that you add on. Maybe that's 2%. Probably a lot of you that I'm talking to that you can relate to that. But life insurance has different charges. It's different. So there's a premium charge, and you can see the definition. And this premium charge with Allianz is 0 after 10 years. So you're paying the premium charge for 10 years. They have a rider charge for the riders you add, which is 0 after 12 years. And then they have a per unit charge. And I'm just probably like you, what are these? Why does the premium charge and per unit charge, why don't they blend this together? Anyway, Allianz is 0 after 15 years. Then there's the cost of insurance, will always be there. Then there's the policy fee, about 90, Allianz is $90 a year. Then the asset charge. This is the charge you are used to. Allianz doesn't have this charge. So it's just a different animal. And so understanding the cost is different. So here's a study I did the other day on July 25th. I took a male, age 45, excellent health, initial death benefit $1.4 million, contributing $50,000 a year for 5 years in Allianz Life Accumulator. And I just crunched the numbers. And the first year, your cost was 18.4. Now you're saying, ooh, that's pretty high. If it wasn't Kai Zen and the way this has been structured, this probably here would be 100%, 90%. Life insurance is stacked high in the early years. This is even moved down the years a little bit, as much as we could, and still be okay with the insurance companies. But in your 2% management world, that looks tough. But notice 7.3 in year 2, 4.9 in 3, and it keeps going down. And finally, we're getting into a range, you're acceptable 1.9, 1.7, 1.5, year 10. So the average from my calculations is 4.3 for the first 10 years. About double your fees. Average in the next 5 years, 0.75. Now we're Now we're really humming lower than a managed account. 0.18, 0.32, 0.44. Oops, starting to go up. Why? They're getting older. And life insurance pays when people die. The 25 years lower than managed accounts. So there is kind of a sweet spot in the cost. And remember my 15 years? If you were to surrender this policy in year 6, 7, with those upfront costs, can you make any money? Not much. Notice the average cost of after age 85, we're starting to go back up. And so the next 5 years, now age 95 is 0.05%. Oh, we're dealing with an individual that living on borrowed time maybe, and it's only 4%. So it's different. The costs are different, and you know there is a sweet spot in even the cost. So I think there's 3 major components. There's the expenses. First 10 years, 4.3, next 5.7, 0.75, following 5.18. Let's say the investment returns, we saw the funds and what they possibly did. Let's say we have a 10% possibility. And then let's say a spread, a leveraged investment returns, we're paying 10, we're earning 10, we're paying 5, a 5% possibility on the leveraged money. Where did I get that 5%? After we pay back the bank, which we're doing approximately in the 15th year, we're not eliminating the debt. We're changing from the bank as the debtor to the insurance company. And in Allianz's case, they've said our rate is 5%. We're not going to go higher. We're not going to go lower. It's 5%. You know that from the beginning. And that's good in my mind. So there's a 5% possibility. So in a sense, you've got your investment returns with no leverage, making 10. You've got your leveraged investment return, the loan money making 5% for you. And that's going to happen forever. And that's the reason why this thing hums and does so well, because of the spread on the debt. And I told you this, the back testing in 1930, there's never been a 15-year period of time with less than a 2% spread, and we're currently illustrating a 0.5. So now I'd like to show you a statement. This is a current statement, June 26, 2024. And this is pretty small print, but that's the first page. And here's the second page and the third page and the fourth page. But what I'm going to do, I'm taking chunks out of those pages, and so you can read it. And this statement is for Grace Bernard. She's one of the founders of Kai Zen. She has a bunch of Kai Zen policies, and this is the first one she bought. Female elite health rating, non-smoker with National Life. Initial death benefit was 700,000. We took the policy number off. You didn't need to know that. The agent was Grace Bernard, and she's in tranche number 1. I could have put more slides and explanation on these tranches, and maybe the next time I do this, and I should, but maybe I should make a whole webinar about the borrowing aspect. But we have, we buy these accounts, the owner of each insurance policy is your trust. We create a trust for you in your name, and then this trust is put into a master trust. And the master trust company then collects, let's say, 100 policies, and they have a date for this tranche is closing on this date, and they package 100 policies, and then they take that package to the bank to do the loan. That's There's a lot of little things of why we can get by without collateral, but one of them is this master trust. So she was in tranche number 1. On that same page, we have a recording of her contributions. 32,200 for 4 years. This is in the very first tranche, and so you can see that she had a little lower payment in the 5th year. And there is some trust fees. You pay the trust fees for all your years over 5 years, 1,500. Sure, we'd like to have eliminated that, but the tranche and the trustee approach is another one of the reasons this works so well. We needed the trust. We needed the master trust. So there's the total contribution by the client. There's the bank amounts. And in this is the very first Kai Zen. The payments were a little bit different, but there's exactly what was put in: 168,000 by her, 429,000 for the bank. The next page, we have the current death benefit. Because the current cash surrender value is 797, the death benefit had to keep going up, so it's 1,497,000. Estimated death benefit after paying the loan back would be 916,000, and the estimated net surrender value, this was started in 2013, so we're in the 11th year. And remember I said 15 years, so we're not even at the 15th year yet, but we have an estimated net surrender value of 216. Now, to surrender this ever doesn't work with me. This is a product. You're gonna own it for 15 years. You're gonna really own it your whole life. So it's totally tax-free forever. So, but the estimated net surrender value helps you compare how you're doing. And if you crunch the numbers, that 216,000 is about 3.5% per year. Is 3.5 great? No. But what happened before that 3.5? You paid for all your life insurance and all that disability, all the costs involved. So you made 3.5% after all those expenses, trust fees, the whole works, and you still made 3.5. Wow. And it's the early years. It's going to really hum down the road. And the projected loan balance was earning how much that has to be paid as 580. So we're in the 11th year, and we made 3.5. It's going to get better because you're never going to do that surrender value anyway. Okay, next page. Here's the return she actually made. This is her statement. So 2013, she made 13%. Her interest rate was 2.75. Next year, 7.5, 2.75 again. Next year, a negative year, we had 0, but we still paid the 2.75. Next year, 12, 3.15, 12.53. You can see all those. You can see that if you look down, then we have another 0 in 2022. And then we see the interest rate started going up. And we're this year it's going to be 6.51. And actually, if you went shopping for a loan, the way this is all constructed, we get the best rates there is. And you're looking at the best there is because this is so secure for the bank. It's a no-brainer for them. And we don't have a return in the for 2025 to 2024 to 25 because the years hasn't finished, but we know what the interest rate is. Shows the payments, shows the bank financing amount. We've got the average way down there. We've averaged 7.73 with a debt average of 3.41. Subtract that out. What do we have? 4, 5, 6, 7, about 4%. Never been less than 2. I project a 5 on that illustration. Is this policy doing the job she wanted it to do? Oh, absolutely. And we can project the future income using our illustrator. Here's a summary. We've actually gone over all these numbers, but that's the same numbers you've seen before. And then here's a summary of the returns she received. Oh, hey, is that illustration showing different? 7.73 and 3.81. Hey, wonder why that is different. I'll have to inquire about that. Anyway, and last page on the illustration is just a NIW, the founders of Kai Zen. More protection, more confidence, and more money. We're going to give you, I'd probably put it the other way around. More money, more protection, and then more confidence. So that's the an actual annual statement. And our estimator has not worked. So I apologize, we can't do a custom one. But remember, this is the 6 benefits. If you have questions, the site will help you. I can help you. Here's the 5 disadvantages, and we want that 15 years. And if you don't have enough energy to get into the atmosphere. And there's my information. My website, I think, is really robust. If you want to just explore that before you request the portal invitation, you can ask questions or whatever. Anyway, this has been the webinar for advisors. I hope it's been helpful. And until next month, I'll work on another webinar. Have a great day. Bye.